Gary Berghoff was an absolute delight. He brought that great charm to Radar. The teddy bear.
Very few TV shows have had as big an impact on American pop culture as MASH. Famous for mixing comedy with serious moments, the show kept people hooked for 11 years and broke records with its final episode.
Tell them my father is a little man, dark hair.
Mr. Hahn is a little man with dark hair.
Mother is short, dark hair.
Yeah, right. The mother also isn't too tall.
Even though it's still loved today, there are many behind-the-scenes stories and interesting facts that most people don't know. In this video, we'll uncover those secrets, including which cast member couldn't stand Gary Berghoff and the surprising reason why. Number 15. MASH, Origins and Adaptation. Most viewers, even big fans of the show, probably don't know that the MASH TV series was based on a 1968 novel called MASH. The book was written by Dr. H. Richard Hornberger, who used the fake name Richard Hooker, along with writer W.C. Hines. It tells the story of 3 Army doctors and is based on Hornberger's own time as a surgeon during the Korean War. The book mixes dark humor with the tough and often sad reality of war. It gives an honest and funny look at life in the military and the struggles of doctors working in a war zone. The book's popularity helped lead to the creation of the TV show, which kept both the funny and serious parts of the original story. By showing the lives of these doctors, the story highlights both the silly and the sad sides of war. And moving forward, there are many surprising and little-known facts about the show still to come. Let's continue to explore. Number 14. Actor selections and replacements. Did you know that MASH actor McLean Stevenson originally wanted to play Hawkeye Pierce, the main surgeon? But of course, that role ended up going to Alan Alda. At the same time, comedian Robert Klein was offered the part of Trapper John McIntyre, but he said no. That gave Wayne Rogers the chance to take the role.
For me?
Only if you put those on.
That was a pretty short nap, wasn't it? I thought you were going to bed for a week.
I was, but I didn't say where, did I?
Even though Rogers had a major part on the show, he never signed a regular contract. This gave him the freedom to leave the show whenever he wanted. Because of that, things felt a bit uncertain behind the scenes. People knew he could walk away at any time. And that's exactly what happened. He left after 3 seasons. His situation was different from the other main actors, who had more solid deals. These casting decisions and contract details helped shape the main characters and the way the cast grew and changed over time. And speaking of how the cast changed, you won't believe what happened next. Number 13. Klinger wasn't meant to appear regularly. When the character Maxwell Klinger was first created for MASH, he was only supposed to be in 1 episode. The idea came from a story by comedian Lenny Bruce, who said he got kicked out of the Navy because he said he was gay. The plan was to show Klinger as a soldier trying to get out of the Army. But the writers in the TV network decided to change this. Instead of making Klinger gay, which could have been controversial on TV back then, they made him a straight man who wore women's clothes to try to get kicked out. This change kept the funny part and fit well with the show's mix of humor and serious moments. What started as a small funny role soon became much bigger. Jimmy Farr's great acting made Klinger very popular. People liked how determined and clever he was, and his funny actions became a regular part of the show.
I'm Section 8, head to toe. I'm wearing a Warner bra. I play with dolls. My last wish is to be buried in my mother's wedding gown. I'm nuts.
Instead of just being a simple joke, Klinger grew into one of the most loved and lasting characters on MASH. Number 12. Real-life military roles. Alan Alda and Jamie Farr brought real military experience to their roles on MASH. Alan Alda, who played the funny and kind-hearted Hawkeye Pierce, had served in the Army Reserve. Because of this, he truly understood what military life was like, especially the strict rules and tough challenges Army doctors faced. His personal experience helped him show how soldiers used humor to deal with stress. This made his performance as Hawkeye feel both real and touching, mixing jokes with genuine care. Jamie Farr, who played the lovable and quirky Corporal Klinger, had also served in the Army before becoming an actor. He knew what everyday military life was like, from following strict routines to finding small ways to stay true to oneself. Klinger, known for dressing in women's clothes to try and get out of the Army by claiming mental instability, was often used for comic relief. But Farr's performance gave the character depth. He showed the mix of frustration and cleverness in a soldier trying to escape the harshness of war. His own military background helped make Klinger feel like more than just a funny sidekick. He was also real and relatable. Number 11. A challenge for the writers. The MASH writing team often struggled because cast members kept complaining about the scripts, asking for changes, or saying they didn't like their lines. To deal with this in a clever but firm way, writer Ken Levine and his team came up with a plan to make a point. Twice they rewrote scenes that made the actors wear thick winter coats while filming outside at the Malibu Ranch, in the middle of summer when it was around 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The actors had to act while sweating in heavy clothes meant for cold weather. After going through this uncomfortable experience, the cast quickly realized how frustrating it was for the writers to deal with constant complaints. This smart move helped stop the script grumbling. Speaking of writing, this next one is even more interesting. Let's check it out. Number 10. Writing the pilot. Larry Gelbart was a skilled and experienced screenwriter who had spent many years working in busy Hollywood, but like many others in the entertainment world, he eventually got tired of the fast-paced and stressful lifestyle. Wanting a break and a fresh start, Gelbart moved to London, hoping to find peace and new ideas away from Hollywood. However, even in London, an exciting project pulled him back in. When he was asked to write the pilot episode for MASH, Gelbart couldn't resist. Although he had planned to take a break from the industry, he saw something special in the idea. He ended up writing the pilot script in just 2 days. Despite the short time, the script turned out to be excellent. It seemed like his creativity had been sparked again. The TV network saw how great his work was and paid him $25,000 for the script. The pilot episode aired on September 17, 1972, and kicked off a legendary TV series. Gelbart's quick but thoughtful writing style helped shape the show's mix of humor and emotion. His work on the pilot became the strong foundation for MASH's long-lasting success, showing that sometimes unexpected chances can lead to something truly great. Number 9. Trivia and Easter eggs. Alan Alda showed great attention to detail by wearing the same hat that Donald Sutherland wore when he played Hawkeye Pierce in the 1970 MASH movie. This hat, which also appeared in the show's opening credits, acted as a link between the film and the TV series. It was Alda's way of honoring the character's origins. By keeping this small but meaningful detail, Alda showed his respect for the original story and his dedication to playing Hawkeye in a way that stayed true to the movie. Another fun piece of MASH history involves Radar O'Reilly's teddy bear. At first, it seemed like just a simple prop, but it became one of the show's most loved symbols. The teddy bear gave comfort during the tough times of war and showed Radar's childlike innocence and sensitivity. After the show ended, the bear was thought to be lost, and fans were curious about what happened to it. Amazingly, it was found years later and sold at an auction to Gary Berghoff, the actor who played Radar, bringing the beloved prop back to its original owner. Number 8. Comics and Codes from the Future. In the 15th episode of the first season of MASH, called Tuttle, Radar's well-known love for comic books becomes a big part of the story. Radar, the sweet and nerdy company clerk, is often seen reading science fiction comics in his free time. But the show is set during the Korean War in the early 1950s, which brings up a strange question. How does Radar have comics that weren't made until years later? In this episode, he's shown reading the 10th issue of Captain Savage and his Battlefield Rangers, a comic that didn't come out until January 1969, more than 15 years after the war ended. It's a small but noticeable mistake, and it's not the only one. The show has several little historical mix-ups like this, though most viewers don't catch them. Another example shows up in the 14th episode of Season 11, called Give and Take. In it, Sergeant Klinger kindly gives a chocolate bar to a badly hurt North Korean soldier. It's a touching moment, but there's a mistake. The chocolate bar has a UPC barcode on it. These barcodes weren't used until 1976, long after the Korean War. When the soldier turns the wrapper upside down, the barcode is clearly visible, a small but obvious error. These little slip-ups, while not major, show that even a well-made show like MASH sometimes accidentally included things from the future. Most viewers probably didn't notice, but for those who do, they're funny reminders that even great period dramas aren't always perfect. And speaking of the Korean War, here's another fun fact. Let's take a look. Number 7. The show stayed more than the war. Interestingly, the TV show MASH ended up lasting far longer than the actual war it was based on. The Korean War, which the show depicted, only lasted a little over 3 years, from June 25, 1950 to July 27, 1953. But MASH stayed on the air for an impressive 11 years, first airing in 1953, 1972, and wrapping up in 1983. That's almost 4 times as long as the war itself. However, this wasn't seen as a problem by the people who created the show. In fact, they saw it as a golden opportunity. With the extra time, they were able to explore the deeper and more difficult sides of war. Things like its emotional cost, the suffering it causes, and the complicated choices people have to make. What started as a simple war comedy soon grew into something much more powerful and meaningful. Over the years, MASH became a show that did more than just entertain. It used sharp humor, touching moments, and even dark comedy to talk about serious issues. These included not only the Korean War, but also more modern concerns, like the trauma soldiers experience, the moral questions that come with war, and the bonds that form between people in terrible situations. Many viewers saw clear parallels between what happened in the show and what was happening in real life, especially during the Vietnam War and the tense Cold War years. Alan Alda, who played the main character, Captain Benjamin Hawkeye Pierce, played a big role in shaping the show's thoughtful and intelligent tone.
The breakfast of ex-champions. Listen to that.
Along with the other writers and producers, he helped make sure that MASH wasn't just about jokes or battlefield scenes. It became a smart and sensitive series that reflected the changing values and concerns of American society during the 1970s and early 1980s. Because the show didn't have to stick closely to the exact timeline of the Korean War, it had the freedom to focus on timeless human themes, like how war can break people down, how doctors and soldiers try to hold on to their humanity, and how rules and orders can sometimes clash with personal beliefs. This creative flexibility allowed the characters to grow and change in deep, believable ways. Over the course of its 11 seasons, MASH gave viewers a close look at life in a military hospital, showing not only the hardships but also the moments of laughter, friendship, and resistance that helped people survive. The show mixed silly comedy with powerful drama and serious questions about politics, ethics, and human behavior. Its long run helped it become more than just a TV series. It became part of a national conversation about war, peace, and the costs of conflict. Even though the Korean War was long over by the time the final episode aired, MASH stayed relevant. It remained on air during a period when the United States was still dealing with the emotional and political fallout from the Vietnam War and the growing worries of the Cold War. Number 6. Alan Alda was more than just an actor. Alan Alda wasn't just a talented actor. He was the heart and soul of MASH in more ways than one. While most people remember him as the witty and compassionate Captain Benjamin Hawkeye Pierce, his influence went far beyond what viewers saw on screen. Behind the scenes, Alda played a major role in shaping the series. He co-wrote and directed an impressive 31 episodes, including the show's unforgettable final episode, which became one of the most watched television broadcasts in history. What made Alda stand out was how deeply involved he was in every part of the creative process. At a time when most actors simply performed their lines, Alda was helping to decide what those lines should be, how the story should unfold, and how the emotions of each episode would be expressed. His unique position as both actor and storyteller allowed him to guide the overall tone and emotional depth of the show. He understood the characters so well that he was able to write and direct with a sense of honesty and sensitivity that made MASH feel real and deeply moving. Alda's work behind the camera was historic. He became the first person ever to win Emmy Awards for acting, directing, and writing, all for the same show.
I really am surprised, and I'm very grateful. This year has been so wonderful for me. This year, so many good things have happened this year. I think of that ritual they had.
This remarkable achievement highlighted just how important he was to MASH's success. His scripts didn't shy away from serious topics like war, morality, and the emotional toll of combat. But he also knew how to balance those heavy moments with humor and warmth, which became a signature of the series. As a director, Alda had a talent for bringing out the best in his fellow actors. He knew how to create scenes that made audiences laugh and cry, sometimes within the same moment. Thanks to his leadership, the show attracted many up-and-coming actors who went on to become stars. He mentored young talent and worked closely with writers and producers to make sure every episode kept the show's high standards. Throughout its 11 seasons, MASH maintained a careful balance between silly fun and serious drama. That balance was largely due to Alda's steady hand and creative vision. His passion and dedication helped keep the show meaningful and powerful, season after season. Number 5. Cameos and real connections. MASH had an amazing group of guest stars like Ron Howard, Leslie Nielsen, and Patrick Sees. Ron Howard, known for his youthful charm, played a young Marine who was eager to join the fight. His role showed the mix of innocence and responsibility. Leslie Nielsen, who later became famous for comedy, showed he could also act in serious roles with depth and emotion.
Captain, how soon can you land?
I can't tell.
You can tell me I'm a doctor.
No, I mean, I'm just not sure.
Or can't you take a guess?
Well, not for another 2 hours.
Patrick Sees, before he became well-known, played a soldier who received a tough medical diagnosis. His acting showed both strength and deep emotion. But that's not all.
We're sending you to Tokyo General.
Tokyo General, what for?
Oh, you'll love it. They got nurses there. They'll give you such a sponge bath, you'll have to take a cold shower afterwards.
I don't want to go to Tokyo General. I want to stay.
The creators of the show also added personal touches to the characters, making them feel more real. For example, Mike Frell, who played B.J. Hunut, was shown as a loving father. In a sweet tribute to his real life, Frell had B.J.'s daughter named after his own daughter, Erin. This made the role of a caring father feel even more genuine. Another example was Colonel Potter, played by Harry Morgan. The photo used on the show to represent Potter's wife was actually a picture of Morgan's real-life wife. This small detail helped bring more truth and warmth to the character. If you think it's surprising, just wait for what happens next. Let's move on. Number 4. The story of the laughter track. When MASH was first being made, Writer Larry Gelbart and executive producer Gene Reynolds didn't want to use a laugh track. They thought the mix of comedy and serious war scenes didn't need fake laughter, which could ruin the mood. But CBS, the TV network showing the series, insisted on adding it, since all 30-minute comedies at the time used laugh tracks. To meet in the middle, the producers agreed not to use laughter during the operating room scenes, which were more serious. Over time, the laugh track was used less and less, and by the 11th season, it was removed completely. Interestingly, when the show was shown on the BBC in the UK, there was no laugh track at all, which made the show feel more like a mix of drama and comedy. Number 3. The Tales Behind the Names. During the 6th season of MASH, the writers added a fun and personal twist by naming 4 Marine patients after players from the 1977 California Angels baseball team. In the next season, Season 7, they kept the idea going by naming patients after members of the 1978 Los Angeles Dodgers. This was a clever little joke for fans who knew those teams and showed how the writers enjoyed mixing pop culture with the show's storylines. Also, in the emotional episode Goodbye Radar, Radar O'Reilly's girlfriend was named Patty Haven, a sweet nod to one of writer Ken Levine's old girlfriends. But there's even more to the story, and it's going to seriously surprise you. Let's go. Number 2. Visible T markers. In the very first episode of the 10th season of MASH, titled Showbiz, there's a small but ironic mistake that fits perfectly with the episode's focus on the entertainment industry. It's the kind of error that makes you smile, not just because it's a blooper, but because it unintentionally highlights the magic and messiness of show business itself. In movies and TV shows, actors don't just walk around randomly. They're usually told exactly where to stand and which direction to face. To help them do this, the crew places special marks on the ground, often shaped like the letter T. These T markers are made out of tape or rubber and are only there for technical reasons. They help make sure the actors are in the right spot for lighting and camera angles. But here's the catch. The audience is never supposed to see them. These markers are part of the backstage world, meant to stay hidden so the show feels real. But in this particular episode, during a touching final scene where Father Mulcahy, called Father Mula in the text, possibly a typo, says a heartfelt goodbye to Sarah, something goes wrong. As the camera pulls back for a wide shot, meant to give a grand view of the moment, it accidentally shows several of these T-shaped markers on the ground. One bright white T is clearly visible behind Father Mulcahy, exactly where Sarah had been standing just a moment earlier. Then, as Father Mulcahy rushes forward and accidentally bumps into Nurse Kelly, his feet kick up some dirt, uncovering another T marker. This one black. It's a small goof, easy to miss, but once you spot it, it breaks the illusion. Suddenly, you're reminded that this emotional goodbye isn't real. It's a carefully staged scene on a set. The moment pulls back the curtain, showing a hidden part of the filmmaking process that viewers were never meant to see. Even though it's just a tiny mistake, it's oddly charming. Number 1. Communication Breakdown. In the 6th episode of MASH's 10th season called Communication Breakdown, the story is all about people having trouble understanding each other. But funnily enough, the episode also has a real-life miscommunication. Not between characters, but in the filming itself. During a scene where Major Charles is chatting with Colonel Potter and Margaret, a nurse rushes in to announce something exciting. A newspaper has arrived at the 4077th camp. Since news from the outside world is super rare during the war, everyone scrambles to get a look at the headlines. While Major Charles tries to lay down the rules for reading it, something strange quietly sneaks into the background. If you look closely, you might spot a man walking into the shot who clearly doesn't belong. He has long blonde hair, a beard, and is dressed in a modern blue shirt and white pants. Not exactly Korean War fashion. Hidden partly behind a signpost, this man looks nothing like a soldier or a nurse. It's pretty obvious he's someone from the MASH crew who accidentally wandered onto the set. This little mistake shows that even a top-notch, award-winning show like MASH can have slip-ups, but instead of ruining the moment, it actually adds a funny twist, a reminder that making TV is a complex job. And sometimes reality sneaks into fiction. What was meant to be a serious moment ends up giving us a behind-the-scenes peek, a real-life communication breakdown in the production itself. Which of these secrets for which cast member couldn't stand Gary Berghoff did you find the most surprising? Let us know your answer in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.